Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We are going to continue on this week exploring songs with catchy choruses, moving into something that I think all of us have heard at one point in our life or another. That is the song Happy Together, except I'm not entirely sure that this is what I think it is because for some reason in my mind I thought this song was sung by the Beatles, and it turns out that it's sung by the Turtles, and I've never heard that band before, and my gut instinct was, wait, is this like a parody band? But then I remembered we actually had a couple other bands of the era also have The Animals, although I think more of a parody band. Here's The Monkees. So, I don't know, when I say the Turtles, I think of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. To show my age a little bit. When did this album come out? 1967. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm sure we all know this song. This is not a first time reaction from me, although I don't think I've heard the entire track. It is less than 3 minutes long, so it's quite possible I have heard everything, but the chorus, of course, is immediately in my mind. Let's dive into this. Happy Together.
Imagine me and you, I do. I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about the girl you love and hold her tight. So happy together. If I should call you up, invest a dime, and you say
All those airy vocals in the background, that's nice.
imagine how the world could be so very fine, so happy together.
The contrast between the really short notes from the band and the vocals being held out, these long legato notes. Interesting to have the drums panned off to the side. Oh, only half of a verse this time around. Still just these short notes giving us the chords. I do like the trumpet. Ooh. What is this over here? So happy together. Ooh. All that build up to come back to diminished energy of the verse. We have those ahs in the back. So happy together. And how is the weather? So happy together. We're happy together. So happy together. It's interesting to me, it feels a little eerie there. It's building back up into the brightness. So yeah, I don't think I've heard that entire song. I think I've heard every piece of it, but not all at once. Because I don't really think there was anything in there that sounded brand new to me. I did have the extra fidelity of listening to it in headphones instead of probably on a TV speaker. I mean, that song showed up in so many commercials and shows and movies and stuff, which is probably where I've heard it from almost entirely. So I did get to hear some extra details I've never heard before. And I'm listening to it critically for the first time. Usually it's a very casual lens. Usually I'm not even paying attention to it too much. It is supplementary to something else that I'm paying attention to, even if it was played in like, a mall or a department store or something. It's still not where my focus is at. So it's cool to listen to it this way and to finally hear it all pieced together. What is going on here? That's what we're here for, some critical analysis. Not a lot, but also a lot. And I think that's what I love about this track is that if you look at the bare bones element, what gets played in pretty much every section throughout this song, we have a quarter note emphasis from the snare, from the bass guitar, from the electric guitar. Bump, 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 ba-dum, bump, 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 bump. It's just this staccato quarter note thing over and over and over. And it gives us our chord progression. It gives us our rhythm. And then we have the melody on top of that. And that's our vocal melody. We have two vocal melodies, one from our verse, one from our chorus. And for the most part, that is the song in every aspect. It is very simple, very minimalistic, and aims to have a most complete song written with the least amount of, I don't necessarily want to say effort, but the least amount of elements to it. In fact, even our guitar, which is giving us the chordal harmony foundation, also gives us the rhythmic pulse. There's a lot of very simple, efficient writing going on, where as much information as can be given from each instrument is. And so, if that was just the entire song, I don't think it would be nearly as popular as it is. Because that isn't just the entire song. That's just what shows up everywhere. But just because that's how a majority of this is written doesn't mean that that's the only thing present. And that's what brings us to the second part of the writing, which is mostly embellishment. This is where everything else comes in. This is the airy vocals at the back half of the first verse. This is the oohs and ahs in our third verse. This is the trumpet in the chorus. This is that, I don't know, it almost sounded like a, what's that high-pitched double-reeded thing in the clarinet family? I can't think of what it is. It almost sounds like that. My first instinct was, oh, there's a synthesizer in here, but then in 67, I don't know. This pops up all the time when you listen to some of this older music, and I'm like, okay, the synthesizer might not have been around in the way that I knew it, but that doesn't mean that the tech wasn't there. I know that we've listened to some Pink Floyd stuff from the very early 70s, maybe, that utilized some very early synthesizer tech. I know the Beatles used some early synthesizer tech too. I don't know when that was. So it's possible that it was an early electric organ of sorts. But there's also a part of me that thinks 67, no, probably not. But it could sound like this very high-pitched, double-reeded instrument in the clarinet family. I can't think of the name of the instrument. But it could have been that. Anyways, that little thing over there giving us this quasi counterpoint at the last moment of the song. There's always something popping up that helps to change things up. We have harmonies, we have embellishing ideas, we have texture layering. The trumpet tends to play exactly what the vocals sing in the chorus. So that is an element of texture layering. It's not harmony because they're playing the exact same pitch in the exact same octave, but we do get to hear the brassy bite of the trumpet with the warm mellowness of the vocals and hearing those layer up and how they combine and create a new sound out of that. But what's also cool is the trumpet also plays its own things. Every once in a while it does a little embellished line that the vocals don't. So it is a bit of an expansion on what the vocals are doing as well. It's little things like that that keep the song feeling fresh from start to finish, even though a majority of it, when you look at the core element of the song, it's identical from start to finish. We have a different chord progression, I think, in the verse and the chorus. I don't know if it's different because emotionally they feel very similar, but it could be an abbreviated version where maybe the verse is four chords and the chorus is only two of those, maybe the first and the second. And instead of going through the progression, we go through that two chord cycle. That might be what's going on there. Um, but yeah, so, we have this constant new things coming up. And I think that's really cool because they're contrasting the newness, the expansion, the one off ideas with the fact that we have a very minimal, repetitive foundation to all of this. Now, there's also another level of contrast here that is pretty obvious, I think, to most of us, which is that the verse is low and mellow, and the chorus is vibrant and bright and happy and loud. I mean, real loud. You may have noticed over there with the volume visualizer that, unlike modern day music, which would give the illusion of quiet and loud, the verse here is actually really quiet, and probably it might have been a bit too soft here with the way that I mix my music into this, but as always, there's a link in the description where you can go find the original if you want to check it out without my commentary and at full volume. Um, and so we do have these lows and highs. What I find really interesting though is when we combined them at the end. We stuck with the lows, but we went into the so happy together over and over and over as we slowly built back up into the trumpets and the bombast and the loudness and everything. What I found really interesting about this was that in the lower, chiller, mellower section, singing that line felt a bit off. Not necessarily creepy, but eerie, maybe a bit saddened. I don't think it's necessarily designed to be that way. I think that's going to be a thing of 50 years of harmonic change in pop culture and the way that I hear those sounds now versus how people heard them back then. But it does sound a bit sad, as if maybe for a moment the song was about being happy together with somebody who might have passed away and kind of feeling a bit somber about it before celebrating, returning to the celebration of the time that you did have. I do not think at all that that's supposed to be the read on this track. But that's sort of the vibe I got with it. It lost a lot of the brightness to it. It got a bit colder, it got a bit darker. I don't know. We'll hit the lyrics in a little bit and see what's going on there, but like I said, I don't expect the song to actually be about that. But I did enjoy how the verse was one way, the chorus was another, and they found a way to blend those at the end, well, not naturally, but smoothly transitioning from one to the other with a stepwise pattern of adding layers every repetition. I thought that was a great way to build it back up and end the track. And I guess that about wraps it up. It is, as I mentioned, a simple but efficient song that is also very short. There's just not a lot to talk about here. But, it is Catchy Choruses Week. Is the chorus catchy? Yeah. Even if this wasn't the song. As I mentioned at the beginning, I thought this was a Beatles track, so it could have been that the Turtles had also written a song called Happy Together. That wasn't what I was thinking of. But even if not, I immediately thought of this chorus. I've never heard the song. I've never gone out of my way to listen to it. It has only always been in my periphery, and yet I immediately knew the chorus. That's the definition of catchy, especially of a song that came out 2 decades before I was born. So, yeah, I don't think we need any qualifications. We don't need to dive into if this is catchy or how it is catchy because I think the test of time has told us it is. So, let's check out some lyrics and see what's going on there. Alright, so, there's actually some really neat things in here that line up with what I thought this was, or lined up lines up where with my brain went more than I was expecting. The song appears to be about an unrequited love, or maybe just, well, no, actually, an unrequited love works. Whether the other person even knows that our narrator exists, though, isn't spoken about. Verse 1 kicks it all off. Imagine me and you. I do. I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about the girl you love and hold her tight. So happy together. There is no you and I yet. I'm just imagining all of this. I imagine us dating. I think about you all of the time. Maybe in 67, the lyrics for this were not read in the way that I'm about to, but yeah, it's a little creepy in 2024. And we continue to, like, here's the thing though, I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying that this is a song about a creep. I think that there is an innocent element to this, just simply daydreaming about a girl you have a crush on who might not have a crush on you. I don't think that there's anything stalkery in here, but the words just read very different after 50 years is all I'm saying. Verse 2 says, if I'd call you up, invest a dime, putting a dime into the payphones to call somebody, and you'd say you belong to me and you'd ease my mind. Imagine how the world could be so very fine. Everything would be great if you were with me. Now, again, the ways that romance is romanticized and talked about today, we don't really view this as much, at least from my perspective. The idea of somebody being completed by a romantic relationship is usually frowned upon because we are more knowledgeable that somebody else is not going to fix us. If we're not happy with our lives, somebody else is, we're just going to kind of bring them down. We have to have our house fixed up and perfect in order to invite somebody into it. Mental health conversations come a long way. And so, again, this is just another line that I think was innocent at the time, but it kind of turned around a little bit over the years and reads a little differently to me now. The chorus says, I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life, and you're with me, baby. Sorry, when you're with me, the skies will be blue for all my life. Again, you're the only girl for me, and if you were with me, my life would be perfect. This whole thing. And the rest of the song goes along with this. We have two more repetitions of the third verse. We actually hear it 3 times, which is wild. I think we hear that more than the chorus. It's the same idea. When you're with me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be the only one for me is you and you for me, so happy together. We just have to be together. That's it. It doesn't matter how the dice rolls, doesn't matter what our luck is, everything's still going to be fine because we'll have each other. That's the song. Now, again, as I mentioned, I do think it was innocent when it was written. But to me, it just reads very different in 2024. And it is somebody fantasizing about another person, but it's also putting them on a pedestal. And that's the creepy factor for me. And so that actually makes the part where it said, so happy together, how's the weather, we're so happy together, during that build-up at the end, but still on the lower, more mellow side of the song, feel a bit off to me. It actually is supported a little bit in my read. What I found interesting is that I honestly figured I would be the only one who felt that. Maybe there would be some others, but honestly, I would not be surprised if I went to the comments section and everyone told me, dude, you're looking way into the lyrics, this was a different time, basically all the usual stuff when I have a negative read on lyrics that people can romanticize and make positive. But I looked at the comments of Genius, and there's a few people who are posting GIFs of movies where it had been used in, and people giving the okay sign, this is perfect. Someone else says best song invented ever, but there is one person who said for some reason this song creeps me out. And you know what, whatever wavelength they're on is the same one I'm on. This whole time, ever since I first heard this, I just thought this was this bright, positive song. And again, I do think it was originally intended to be that way. But knowing all of the words now and feeling the way I do about the ending, building back up into the fantasy, going from the mellowness back to the bombast, it seems to be about a person who's going to live in their fantasy of this relationship forever, because it doesn't seem like this relationship's ever going to be a reality. And so the song comes off very sad to me, about somebody who would rather deal with a made up world than the one that's real. And the way that they put the other person on a pedestal, it all just comes off really kind of sad to me in a lot of ways. Which I am fully aware will probably not be the way a lot of people feel about it, and I'm sure I'll get some incendiary comments about my read of the lyrics, but whatever, those are my thoughts on the Turtles. Happy Together. What are your thoughts? Let me know what you thought of this track, if there's anything you want to add on to what I said, or I'm sure correct me where I'm wrong. Oh man, put all that stuff in the comment section alongside any thoughts, opinions, and perspectives you have on this track. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. Takes you to this menu right here. You can find links right there. Let's point the thumb in the right direction. That menu right there has links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell, I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for this one. We do have another video coming out today. It's going to be for Pride Month. We're going to check out a band with an or multiple LGBTQ members. And that'll wrap it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow, though, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC. We'll be doing the same, wrapping up this week's theme of catchy choruses and exploring some more Pride music. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.